Khalil Al-Rashid's designer shoes struck the wet pavement like hammers, his weathered face twisted with rage. 6 months searching. 43 cities scoured, every lead dead. The billionaire's salt and pepper beard trembled as he barked Arabic commands to his stone-faced bodyguard waiting by the sleek Bentley. La faida linrada? Useless. We leave now. His coal-black eyes burned with the fury of a man who owned empires but couldn't find the one person who mattered. Then it happened. A tiny voice pierced the November air. Baba Khalil, limada hazin. The words froze him mid-stride. A blonde 6-year-old in a rumpled school uniform stood 20 feet away, her sapphire eyes wide with innocent recognition. Her small fingers clutched a worn guitar case, Arabic symbols barely visible on its faded leather. Khalil's world shattered. Those exact words, that precise pronunciation. Only one soul on earth had ever spoken to him that way. But she had vanished 6 months ago, leaving him hollow as a tomb. The man beside the child looked equally stunned. Ben Carter's calloused hands gripped his daughter's shoulders protectively, his hazel eyes darting between the imposing stranger and Lucy's confused face. The 34-year-old music teacher wore faded jeans and a flannel shirt, his brown hair disheveled from another sleepless night. "Lucy, honey, what did you just say?" Ben's voice cracked with bewilderment. He'd heard those strange sounds before, whispered in Lucy's sleep during her restless nights. Always the same melodic cadence, always leaving him wondering if his daughter was having nightmares about something he couldn't understand. Khalil stepped forward slowly, his expensive suit contrasting sharply with the modest small-town setting. "Little one." His accented English was careful, controlled. "Where did you learn those words?" Lucy tilted her head, studying his face with fearless curiosity. "I don't know," she whispered, then brightened. "But you look sad like the man in my dreams. Are you Uncle Khalil?" The name hit him like a physical blow. Nobody called him Uncle Khalil except one person, his daughter Zara, who had vanished from her engagement party 6 months ago, leaving behind only a blood-stained scarf by the harbor. Ben's protective instincts flared as he pulled Lucy closer. This wasn't some random encounter. This man knew something about his daughter that he didn't. "Sir, I think there's been some misunderstanding. Lucy's never met you before." But even as he spoke, fragments of memory stirred. Sarah's hushed phone calls in Arabic during Lucy's early years, the guitar case with its mysterious inscriptions that his late wife had treasured but never explained. Khalil's penetrating gaze never left Lucy's face. "Your wife," Khalil said quietly. "Was her name Sarah? Did she work with refugees?" The question landed like a thunderbolt. Lucy seemed oblivious to the tension, focusing on the ornate cufflinks gleaming on Khalil's sleeves. "Those are pretty," she said innocently. "Big Sister Zara had ones like that, but smaller, for her ears." Ben felt the blood drain from his face. Zara. Lucy had never mentioned anyone named Zara, yet she spoke the name with the familiarity of an old friend. Khalil's composure finally cracked, his sophisticated mask slipping to reveal raw desperation. "You remember Zara? Can you tell me about Big Sister Zara?" His voice trembled with barely contained hope. Lucy's eyes grew distant, as if reaching into depths of a dream she couldn't quite grasp. "She sang pretty songs and taught me words that sounded like music. She had dark hair and drew pictures of flowers with curvy letters underneath." Her small hand traced invisible patterns in the air, mimicking Arabic calligraphy. She said the words meant, "Love grows in the garden of the heart." Khalil's knees nearly buckled. Those were the exact words from his wife's favorite poem, words that Zara had learned at her mother's bedside during her final days. "Mr. Carter." Khalil's voice was steady now, though his hands shook slightly. I believe your wife saved my daughter's life 4 years ago. And I think Lucy may be the key to finding her. He produced a worn photograph, a young woman with striking dark eyes standing beside a familiar figure in volunteer scrubs. Zara. Ben's heart hammered as he recognized his wife's face, younger and more carefree than he remembered. Lucy pressed closer to examine the picture. That's Mama and big sister Zara, she said matter-of-factly. They took care of me when I was little. The weight of suppressed memories crashed over Lucy all at once. Her bright eyes filled with tears as fragments of a buried past surfaced. Big sister used to carry me when my legs got tired. She made shadow puppets on the wall and told stories about princesses who saved themselves. She looked up at Khalil with sudden urgency. Where is she? Why didn't she come back when Mama went to heaven? Ben's world tilted. 4 years ago, Sarah had taken a mysterious 6-month leave, claiming she needed to help some families in crisis. She'd returned different, quieter, more protective, fiercely dedicated to Lucy in a way that seemed almost desperate. Khalil knelt on the wet pavement, bringing himself to Lucy's eye level. Zara had to go away to keep everyone safe, but she thinks about you every day, little star. That's what she used to call you, isn't it? Lucy nodded vigorously, a smile breaking through her tears. She said I was her little star because I was small but very bright. The endearment unleashed a flood of buried memories. Lucy began talking rapidly about bedtime stories in Arabic, cooking lessons that ended in flower fights, and the way Zara would sing her to sleep when nightmares came. Perhaps we could continue this conversation somewhere more private, Khalil suggested. I have information about your wife's work that I believe you'll find illuminating. Ben felt caught between curiosity and caution, but the look of desperate hope in Khalil's eyes reminded him of his own grief after Sarah's death. Lucy needs to get to school, he said finally. But maybe we could talk later. 3 o'clock at Rosie's diner? Khalil nodded gratefully. As they parted ways, Lucy turned back to wave. Tell big sister Zara that her little star is still shining, she called out. By 3 o'clock, Rosie's diner buzzed with its usual afternoon crowd. Ben chose a corner booth where they could speak privately. Khalil arrived precisely on time, having traded his formal suit for dark jeans and a simple sweater that made him look more like a grieving father than a billionaire CEO. Thank you for agreeing to meet, Khalil said. I found some of Sarah's journals. Ben replied. She wrote about Zara, about protecting her from something. What was my wife involved in? Khalil's weathered hands wrapped around his coffee mug. 4 years ago, there was a bombing at a refugee camp in Lebanon where your wife volunteered. Zara was there translating when the explosion occurred. Sarah saved her life by insisting on emergency transport to American doctors. His voice grew heavy. But Zara's presence wasn't random. She'd run away from an arranged marriage, seeking refuge among displaced families. When I tracked her down, Sarah begged me to let Zara recover in America. I agreed to 6 months. Then she would return to marry Prince Abdullah of our allied kingdom. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. She was just a kid when you promised her to someone else. Khalil's jaw tightened defensively. That marriage would have secured peace between 2 nations. Personal desires must sometimes be sacrificed for the greater good. Ben studied the older man's face, seeing guilt beneath the authority. But Sarah changed her mind, didn't she? Khalil's silence was answer enough. Zara thrived during those months with your family. Khalil continued. She learned to bake American cookies, taught Lucy Arabic songs, helped in the garden. For the first time, she experienced freedom from expectations. He showed Ben a video on his phone. There was Lucy, barely 2 years old, giggling as Zara spun her around their backyard, both laughing with pure joy while Sarah watched from the porch. She sent me these videos. I told myself I was being generous, allowing my daughter this taste of normalcy before she assumed her responsibilities. What went wrong? Ben asked, dreading the answer. Prince Abdullah grew impatient. Political pressure mounted, and I was forced to recall Zara immediately. I sent my security team to collect her without warning. Your wife tried to intervene, but my men had their orders. The scene was traumatic for everyone, especially Lucy. Ben's hands clenched into fists as he imagined men in dark suits tearing a beloved family member away from his baby daughter. Sarah called me that night, begging for more time. She said Zara was suicidal, that forcing her back would destroy her. Zara tried to fulfill her duty. For 2 years, she played the obedient daughter, attending functions with Prince Abdullah, participating in wedding preparations. But something inside her had broken. She became withdrawn, mechanical. He showed Ben another photo. Zara in an elegant gown, her smile composed, but her eyes completely empty. 6 months ago, on the eve of her wedding, she disappeared. Her blood-stained scarf was found by the harbor. Everyone assumed she had drowned, but no body was recovered. But you don't think she's dead? Khalil's eyes blazed with desperate certainty. Her father knows. She's alive, hiding somewhere. Lucy's recognition of me, her buried memories, they're proof that Zara has been in contact somehow. The implications hit Ben like a freight train. You think she's been watching Lucy? Khalil leaned forward intensely. Mr. Carter, I need your help. If Zara is alive, if she's been in contact with Lucy, then you're the only hope I have of finding her before Prince Abdullah's people do. What happens if they find her first? Khalil's silence stretched long enough to be its own answer. Abdullah's family considers her betrayal an insult that can only be cleansed through blood. They've issued a private fatwa, a death sentence. If they reach her before I do, I'll lose my daughter forever. Ben's hands shook as the magnitude of the situation sank in. His quiet life had just collided with international intrigue, and Lucy was at the center of it all. That evening, Ben studied his daughter's face over dinner. Lucy, sweetheart, do you ever have dreams about big sister Zara? She looked up, expression brightening. Sometimes. She comes to visit me when I'm sleeping and tells me stories about faraway places with golden domes and blue seas. Lucy's tone sent chills down Ben's spine. In these dreams, does she ever tell you where she lives now? Lucy shook her head. She says it's a secret because bad people are looking for her. But she watches me sometimes at the playground after school. She waves from behind the big oak tree. Ben's fork clattered against his plate. If Lucy was telling the truth, then Zara had been taking enormous risks to maintain contact. When you see Zara at the playground, does she ever try to talk to you? Lucy's brow furrowed in concentration. No, Daddy. She just waves and smiles, and sometimes she leaves little presents under the oak tree, pretty stones with drawings on them, or flowers arranged in special patterns. Ben realized his daughter had been receiving coded messages from a fugitive. Can you show me these presents tomorrow? By 3 o'clock the next day, Ben positioned himself across from the elementary school playground, eyes fixed on the massive oak tree. At 3:15, as children poured out of the building, he spotted her. A young woman in jeans and a hooded sweatshirt, dark hair tucked beneath a baseball cap, standing at the tree line where shadow met sunlight. Even from a distance, he could see the family resemblance to Khalil. When Lucy spotted her and waved enthusiastically, Zara's face transformed with joy, so pure it made Ben's chest ache. Ben waited until Lucy was distracted before approaching the tree line. Zara tensed as she spotted him but didn't run. Instead, she straightened her shoulders and met his gaze with dignity. You must be Ben, she said softly. Lucy talks about you constantly in her dreams. Her voice was melodious, warm. "She's your daughter too, in every way that matters." Ben replied, "Your father is looking for you. He's worried sick." Zara's expression hardened. "My father created this situation with his obsession with duty and honor. I won't go back to that life, Ben. I'd rather die free than live as a prisoner in a golden cage." "What if there was another way? What if your father had changed his mind about the marriage?" For the first time, uncertainty flickered in Zara's eyes. "You don't know him like I do. Khalil Al-Rashid doesn't change his mind." Ben showed her the video Khalil had shared. "He carries this with him everywhere. That's not the behavior of a man who sees his daughter as a political tool." Zara's composure cracked as she watched herself spinning Lucy through autumn leaves. "He sent security to drag me away from her," she whispered. "Lucy cried for hours after they took me. I faked my death and came back to America. I've been living in Hartford under a false identity, working as a waitress, just so I could drive here once a week and see her from a distance." The sacrifice staggered Ben. This woman had given up unimaginable wealth to work minimum-wage jobs for the chance to glimpse a child she could never claim. "She still remembers those songs," Ben said softly. "She hums them when she thinks no one is listening." Fresh tears filled Zara's eyes. Their conversation was shattered by Ben's phone buzzing. Khalil's name flashed on the screen. "Ben, where are you? My security team has detected unusual activity around your daughter's school. Black SUVs with diplomatic plates have been circling the area." Ben's blood turned to ice as he spotted them. 2 dark vehicles parked at strategic points around the school. "Prince Abdullah's advance team." Khalil's voice crackled. "They've found her, Ben. Get Lucy and get out of there now." Zara grabbed Ben's arm, her face pale with terror. "This is exactly what I was afraid of. They've been watching you, using Lucy as bait to draw me out." The sound of car doors slamming echoed across the playground like gunshots as men in dark suits began walking purposefully toward the school grounds. Ben broke into a run towards the swings. "Lucy! Come here, sweetheart! We need to go!" His daughter looked up in surprise at the urgency in his voice. "We're going on an adventure, baby girl," he whispered, scooping her into his arms. "Are we running away from the bad people who want to hurt big sister Zara?" Lucy asked, with understanding far too mature for her years. The next hour passed in desperate flight through Connecticut woodlands. Zara moved with confidence, leading them along deer paths and forgotten logging roads. Lucy clung to Ben's neck without complaint, understanding this was not a game. "There's a safe house about 3 miles from here," Zara explained during a brief rest. "My contact keeps it stocked with supplies for emergencies exactly like this." Ben's lungs burned with exertion. "How long do we have before they track us down?" Zara's expression was grim. "Hours, maybe less. These people have resources that most governments would envy." The cabin looked like any other scattered throughout New England's forests. Inside, maps covered one wall, marked with routes and safe houses across multiple states. "Welcome to my backup plan," Zara said as she began pulling supplies from hidden compartments. "I've been preparing for this day since I first arrived in America. I just never imagined I'd be taking you and Lucy with me." Ben set his daughter down gently. "What happens now?" Zara's phone buzzed with an encrypted message. Khalil's security team engaged Abdullah's people at the school. 2 wounded, no fatalities, but local police are involved now. I'm sorry. By helping me, you've become fugitives." Lucy curled up on a small couch, her thumb finding its way to her mouth for the first time in years. "Where would we go?" Ben asked. Zara spread a map across the table. "Canada first, then overseas. I have contacts in countries that don't extradite for political crimes. We could disappear completely, start over somewhere safe." The weight of the decision pressed down on Ben. Everything he'd ever known would have to be abandoned. How long would we have to hide? Lucy's voice was small from the couch. I don't know, little star. Maybe a long time, but we'd be together, and that's what matters most. Their conference was interrupted by Zara's secure phone. She answered with visible reluctance, her face cycling through surprise, suspicion, and cautious hope. Yes, I understand. No, I don't trust it, but I'll consider it. She ended the call and looked at Ben. That was Khalil. He says Prince Abdullah is dead. The words hung in the air. Dead how? Ben asked. Car accident on the highway outside Millbrook. Apparently his driver lost control and hit a tree. No survivors. The convenient timing wasn't lost on any of them. Does this mean the bad people won't chase us anymore? Lucy asked with childhood directness. Zara and Ben exchanged glances. It means some of the bad people won't chase us, Zara said carefully. But Abdullah had family, allies, people who might want revenge even if the original threat is gone. She pulled up news footage showing wreckage wrapped around an ancient oak tree. This could be Khalil's way of clearing the path for reconciliation, or it could be the beginning of a blood feud. With my family, it's often impossible to tell the difference. Ben's phone rang again. This time, Zara nodded permission to answer. Ben, thank God you're safe. Where are you? Khalil's voice carried genuine relief. Somewhere secure. Ben replied carefully. Is it true about Prince Abdullah? There was a meaningful pause. The prince was driving recklessly while pursuing my daughter. Tragedy was inevitable. The careful phrasing confirmed their suspicions. His death changes the political equation significantly. Come home, both of you. Bring Lucy and let me meet my granddaughter properly. Let me try to make amends for the mistakes I've made. Zara took the phone, her voice steady despite visible emotion. Hello, Baba. The simple word carried years of pain and longing. Khalil's sharp intake of breath was audible. Habibti, my beloved daughter, I thought I had lost you forever. His voice cracked with raw emotion. You did lose me, Zara replied, though her tone held more sadness than anger. The question is whether we can find each other again. The silence stretched between father and daughter across miles of forest and years of misunderstanding. I have spent every day since you disappeared wishing I could take back my choices, Khalil whispered. I let tradition and fear guide my decisions instead of love and wisdom. I failed you as a father, and I failed Lucy by taking away someone she loved. Zara closed her eyes, tears streaming down her cheeks. Baba, I need to know this isn't just about guilt. If I come back, you have to accept that my life will be different from what you planned. I won't be the dutiful daughter who marries for alliance and lives in a golden cage. Her voice grew stronger with each word. Lucy stirred on the couch, awakening to emotional adult voices. Is that Uncle Khalil? She asked with childhood directness. Are we going to see him again? Zara looked down at her little star and felt something shift inside her chest like a key turning in a long-locked door. Would you like to see Uncle Khalil again? Lucy nodded vigorously. I want to show him the pictures I drew of our family, and I want to ask him if he knows any more stories about Big Sister Zara when she was little like me. Baba, Zara said into the phone, her decision crystallizing. We'll come to you. But not to your house, not surrounded by your security. Meet us somewhere neutral, somewhere Lucy will feel safe. Khalil was quiet for a moment. Where? He asked finally. Zara looked around the cabin that had been her sanctuary, then at Ben and Lucy who'd become her salvation. Millbrook Park, by the duck pond. Just you, no security, no business associates. If this is about family, then it should be only family. The symbolism wasn't lost on any of them. 1 hour. Khalil agreed. "And Zara, thank you for giving me this chance." The drive back to Millbrook felt like traveling through a dream landscape. Yellow police tape fluttered at the elementary school, a reminder of how quickly their quiet existence had been shattered. Lucy sat between them, her small hand alternately holding Ben's fingers and Zara's. "Are you scared, Daddy?" she asked as they entered the park. Ben considered lying, but decided honesty was the foundation any new life would need. "Yes, sweetheart, but sometimes being scared means you're about to do something really important." Millbrook Park at dusk was painted in gold and amber, the duck pond reflecting the sky. Khalil sat on the bench where Ben and Lucy often came to feed the waterfowl. He rose as their car approached, movements careful and deliberate, hands visible in a gesture of peaceful intent. Lucy broke away from the adults, running toward Khalil with fearless enthusiasm. "I drew you pictures," she announced, pulling folded papers from her jacket. "This one is our family, and this one is the house where I want us all to live together." Khalil knelt to accept the drawings with reverence, his eyes bright with unshed tears as he studied Lucy's crayon depictions. "This is beautiful, little star. Is this really how you see us?" Lucy nodded solemnly. "Daddy says family is people who choose to stay together even when it's hard. I choose all of you." The declaration hung in the evening air like a benediction. Zara approached her father slowly, years of hurt and hope warring in her expression. "Baba," she said softly, and suddenly she was a little girl again. Khalil opened his arms and she fell into them, both crying with relief. Ben joined them on the bench as the first stars appeared. "I have a proposition," Khalil said. "I own a house in Vermont, near the mountains, far from business and politics. It's been empty for years, waiting for a family to fill it with laughter and warmth." He looked at each of them. "I'd like you to consider making it your home, all of you together. Lucy could attend local schools, Ben could teach music, and Zara could pursue whatever dreams she chooses without fear." Ben studied Khalil's face for hidden conditions. "And you?" he asked carefully. "I'd like to be a grandfather, if Lucy will have me, and a father trying to earn back his daughter's trust, if Zara will allow it. Beyond that, I make no claims or demands." Lucy had been following the conversation intently. "Would big sister Zara live with us always?" she asked. "If she wants to," Khalil confirmed. "No one will ever force her to leave you again." Zara took her father's weathered hand. "What about your business empire? You can't just walk away from decades of responsibility." Khalil's expression grew thoughtful. "Power without family is just elaborate loneliness, Habibti. Perhaps it's time for this old man to discover what really matters in life." As full darkness settled over the park, Ben found himself believing in possibilities he'd never dared imagine. The four of them sitting together felt right in a way that transcended logic, like puzzle pieces finding their proper places after years of being scattered. "Vermont sounds nice," he said finally. "Lucy's always wanted to see snow on mountains." His daughter clapped her hands in excitement. "And I can teach Uncle Khalil how to build snowmen and show big sister Zara how Americans celebrate Christmas." The enthusiasm in her voice sealed whatever doubts any of the adults might have harbored. 1 year later, Ben woke to the sound of laughter echoing through the Vermont house that had become their unlikely sanctuary. Through his window, he could see Lucy and Khalil building a snow fort, their voices carrying clearly as she instructed him in proper snow engineering. Zara stood on the porch, wrapped in one of Sarah's old cardigans, holding steaming mugs and smiling with the contentment of someone who'd finally found her way home. "Good morning, family," Ben called from the window. Lucy looked up from her construction project. "Daddy, come help us. Uncle Khalil doesn't know how to make the walls strong enough." As they gathered around the kitchen table that had become the heart of their home, sharing pancakes and stories, Ben reflected on the journey that had brought them to this moment. A year ago he'd been a man frozen in grief. Now he was part of something larger and more rewarding. A family built not on blood or law, but on the conscious daily choice to love and support each other. Lucy, now 7 and growing wiser by the day, spoke Arabic as fluently as English, called Vermont home, and treated the cultural bridge between her American father and Middle Eastern extended family as simply another adventure to be explored with enthusiasm. In the living room, Sarah's guitar sat beside an ornate oud that had belonged to Khalil's late wife. The two instruments represented everything about their blended family, different traditions harmonizing to create something entirely new and beautiful. "Daddy," Lucy said one evening by the fireplace, "when I grow up, I want to help families like ours find each other." Her matter-of-fact announcement silenced adult conversation. Sometimes people get lost from their families because of scary things or misunderstandings. But families that choose each other are just as real as families that are born together. I want to help lost people find their way home. As the fire crackled lower and evening deepened, painting their faces in warm amber light, Ben understood that this was what Sarah had meant about love multiplying instead of dividing. Their daughter would grow up understanding that family was something you built through daily acts of kindness and forgiveness, that home was wherever people chose to stay together through difficulties and celebrations alike. And somewhere in the space between sleep and waking, between Arabic lullabies and English bedtime stories, their family's story continued to unfold like a song whose melody would echo through generations yet to come.